Alright, the long promised video on my LED controller. Picked this up, oh boy, I think it was January last year, and I've had it running for a long time on the LED bars that I got in December. When I got the bars, I got, you know, it's a basic power supply and a cheesy little dimmer that you can manually rotate to get yourself different settings, but who the heck wants to do that? I want to set something and forget it. So I found this, picked it up. I'd have to go back and check the price. It's pretty short money, 20 bucks, maybe 30 bucks. It's, I'll show you the part. So one of the downsides, this has absolutely one of the worst set of manual pages I've ever read in my life. So almost, yeah, not so useful. We'll just say that. I can't really say much more than that, but I can show the process on there. It also comes with a little disc with some software to load. I have no idea if that works on Mac, but it definitely works on PC. Hi, buddy. What are we doing? So this is the unit itself. It's actually operational here. I've mounted it on a board, and I'll cover that when I go up and program. So the programming, you have to actually physically cable it into the computer to program it. There's a little port on the side, which is kind of a pain in the butt. The unit itself, I don't know if I can pull this out. Well, you can see I've got it set in here. I just cut a couple of slots in a piece of wood. I'll pull it out and show you in a sec. Okay, on the tripod. So you can see the unit itself. I can unplug it. I've got enough slack on here I can pull it out. But it's got little screw tabs on the side, so I could screw it down and mount it on the board, but because I have to take it and attach it to the computer when I'm going to reprogram it, I just made these little slots. So it's just a little saw kerf into a piece of wood that I've nailed off on this panel. So it allows me to pop it out pretty quick, take it upstairs, connect it to the computer, and go from there. All right, let me quickly walk through some of the operations here. In default run mode here, you can see on the display I've got the date and time there. I've also got the current mode that I'm running. It's R90 under 60. That's something I programmed in there. It's actually a 90% blue, 60% white, ramp up, ramp down that I programmed. I'll show you that upstairs in a moment. But in terms of changing things, I can get in here on the menu, selecting the modes, and I can cycle up and down through the modes. You can see there I've got a 90-70. I can turn off everything. That's everything off. I've got a handful of different things that I've programmed. Tank off, etc. Right? These F modes that I've set up. This is a film mode. So these are basically constant. So this one's 20% blue, 80% white.
Programming this thing is really kind of a bear if you were to actually read the manual and try to follow it. If you just open it up and play, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's two different kinds of files that are saved out. There's package files and mode files. Packages contain modes, so you'll have more modes than packages. After you've created yourself a new package, you're going to start adding modes to it. You can survive with just one mode, so just go ahead and get one going first. The only key thing on starting a package is you need to know how many channels you're going to program. You can't go back and add a channel later. So if you've got 4 channels that you're going to program, you got to start a 4-channel package to begin with. If you start a 1-channel package and you want 2 channels later, you got to start all over and redo things. So if you think you're going to add channels later, then start a package with more channels to begin with. It'll be easier in the long run if you put a lot of time and effort into programming things. So once you open up and add in your first mode, you'll see you have an editor available where you can then add steps one at a time. Each step is a point in time and values for the channel in terms of the percentage of the maximum voltage output for each channel. The value that you're specifying here is the value at that point in time, and then there's a question of how you've gotten there. Have you faded to that value, or is there a step where you actually just switch on or off or jump to those values? So I've done almost everything here with fades because I think most folks will probably wind up doing that in the aquarium world because we're looking to sort of set up a daylight cycle where you sort of fade up your blues and fade up your whites and then fade them back down at the end of the day. With a number of steps inserted, you can start to sort of understand your cycle that you're going to be setting up. The one caveat that you need to be aware of here is that the channels don't operate independently. So for every single step that you have, you need to have a value that makes sense for each and every channel in there. So if, for say, you were going to ramp up channel 1 over the period of 2 hours, and then 1 hour into that you wanted to start changing channel 2 and ramping that up, that second point in time, an hour in, you're going to have the correct value to enter in channel 1 as well at that point. So you're going to have to compute what it should be and plug those numbers in for every single entry as you go through. It's not that difficult to figure out for simple swings as you go through things, but if you're actually doing some more complex stuff and as you add more and more channels, it does get more complex. When I first started programming this, I was interested in running a bunch of different modes and trying different levels of light to see if it made a difference in terms of coral growth. I probably never really spent enough time observing the corals to really have any kind of data on it, but I went ahead and I made a little spreadsheet that I used to specify a max value for each of the channels, and then it would compute for me the different values I would need to enter into my profile. As you can see here, I also threw in a little graph so I could visually see what was going to happen for the profile as I went through it. Again, I'm a nerd. If you guys have watched enough of my videos, you probably know that already. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with this little controller. It's done exactly what I wanted it to do. It allows me to ramp up and ramp down multiple channels at the same time. I can program in different modes and set it and forget it. I can set it up and let it go. While doing a little research here, I did note that there is a TC420 controller available now which has Wi-Fi capability. So that may be one of my next purchases. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the section below, and I'll be happy to answer questions. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like to see more in this series.